everybody, Brooklyn Attic Books here. I have a little bit of a change of scenery, and I have my little buddy here right next to me. Today I wanted to talk about two books. Let me backtrack a little bit. So this fall, what I've been doing is I've been trying to read more new indie authors in the horror genre. And this has the good, the bad, and just the pure ugly. I have been down a rabbit hole with the new indie stuff. So in a book group that I belong to, they pointed out that you can actually get advanced reader copies if you have an e-reader, which I'm very much not that into, but these are the e-readers. And so I got one. I caved, and I have been reading some ARCs, advanced reader copies, that have come out for this fall. And I said, well, why not? What better way to promote books than promote the new indie authors that are coming out? So along with that, I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly side of everything. So the ugly side is that when you go on one of these websites, whether it's BookSirens or NetGalley, whatever you download, you make sure that you either A, read it, or B, give it a very, very good effort before you DNF it. And then you tell them, don't tell them that you DNF'd it, because you get a score and it counts against you. So when the really good books come out with the more prominent authors that you're trying to read in advance, that score, that percentage you're reviewed to your downloaded books counts against you or for you if it's above 80%. Now, I didn't realize this and I didn't know this because I didn't really do my research. I just signed up and started downloading a bunch of books. So my score is pretty low right now. But I've been making my way through the books that I said, hey, these sound great. Let me download them and let me read them. And if they're good, I'll promote them. Now, originally I had a thought that if I didn't like a book, that I'll DNF it, or I just won't give it a review. But that's dishonest, right? They want your honest opinion for these ARCs. So I actually read through one book lately. It was called Good Girls Don't Die by Christina Henry, and I regret every minute of it. This book was so bad. It is a story within a story. It was so generic. It felt like a lifeless Lifetime movie that wouldn't end. And it went through 3 different characters, 3 different stories, and then in the 4th chapter or the 4th part of the book, it comes together. However, it was so generic. I did not like reading it. It wasn't enjoyable. It was a fast read, but it was not good writing, in my opinion. The reviews for this book were so high. I had really, really high expectations. This book was so bad that I now don't trust scores of advanced reader copies. Like, I just don't. You can tell when the people are reviewing and it'll say, oh, reviewing for NetGalley, this is my honest opinion. And it's like, okay, but why are you giving such a high score? I didn't understand it. I was not impressed by the book. Because everybody gave it such a high score, I think I gave it a really low score on purpose. I explained the storyline of the book. I'm not going to explain it here. I already kind of did. But every time I explained it to a new person, they were like, wow, that sounds like a really good book. I actually wouldn't mind reading it. The problem is that the storyline was really good, but the writing was so bad that it felt like a chore picking it up and going back to it. I felt like it needed to get better, and there was like the other shoe needed to drop at the end of the book, but it never really did. Indie horror that is absolutely epic. And currently, I'm not through it yet, but I'm about halfway. I'm reading Apparitions by Adam Pottle, and it is excellent. It is such a fresh take on horror, and I see it building. I see it building, the tension, the feelings, the characters. They're complex, and I can see it's almost as if Adam Pottle was writing from experience. It was so, like, the descriptions in the book, his prose, they're beautiful. And I'm not done with it yet, but it is out as of the end of September. This book came out in the final week, and if you are interested in reading it, I have linked below. It's a wild ride about a kid who's deaf. And I don't think that the people around him know or care about him enough to understand that. So they just probably think that maybe there's something mentally wrong with him. And so we've come to the story from the point of view of this neglected, abused deaf child who never learned to communicate with the world. And this is an LGBTQ plus horror novel, and it is amazing. It's blowing my mind, and I've never read anything by Adam Pottle, and I'm not even sure. I think this is a Dark Matter publication. My curiosity is, where is this book going? Because I see Satanism starting to play a hand, and religion. And it's a very, very fresh horror story I've never encountered before. I'll have to do a full-blown review once I finish it. But so far, so good. So, as I was saying, there is the good, the bad, and the ugly of getting advanced reader's copies. You can get lost in this world. You really can. I have about 20 books already that I need to get through or finish, and not all of them are very good. Not all of them are good. Most of them are very good. One new genre for me in the horror, like a subgenre I never knew was a thing that existed, that I learned about in the past couple weeks, is I read 2 books. One's a novella by Tim Meyer. It's called Rainbow Filth, and it's cosmic horror. And then there's the other one that Cassandra Caw just co-wrote with another author who's slipping my mind right now, The Dead Take the A Train, and that's also cosmic horror. And to me, cosmic horror is almost borderline dark fantasy, which I'm not too into. It's not really my preferred subgenre, unless somebody tells me something is an excellent read, and then I obviously have to jump on it. Just like one of my friends just pushed for Good Omens by Neil Gaiman, and I believe that's a dark fantasy, but they were like, hands down, you have to read this book. Everybody has to read this book. So I'll probably put that in my TBR for January, actually. So that's it, guys. That's all I got. Just straight brutal honesty, and happy reading. I'll see you guys next week.